Hi all and welcome back to the Cheltenham Festival previews. We're on to day 3, the Thursday card. Another 7 race card, obviously newly 7 race card the last couple of years with the introduction of the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. And this is where it really begins to get tricky. You think the first 2 days are bad, but honestly Thursday and Friday usually go through my head. Sometimes, I remember one year I had a great Thursday, but the year where Mullins didn't have it was actually only 2 years ago, where Mullins didn't have a winner the first 2 days, and everyone was down in the dumps. Duvan got beaten and everything, and then he had York Hill, I had him, I had Percy in the Pertemps, I had Undersow in the Ryanair, I had Nichols Canyon in the Stairs, I had Road to Respect in the Brown, or was it the Burn at the time, the plate anyway. I had Let's Dance in the Mayor's Novice, and then I didn't have the winner, the Kim Muir. I was 6 for 7. I think I was on Maldini in the Kim Muir, and he came 4th under Katie Wolf. Katie Wolf probably gave him a little bit much to do. And the horse, sometimes you question the resolution of that horse, but we'll get on to that later. Anyway, we'll head on into this one. I wasn't as good last year on the Thursday, so hopefully we can have a year like 2017, starting off in the JLT Novices Chase. Obviously, some great winners down the line. Shattered Love won the race last year. Probably one of the weakest renewals last year, I must say. I didn't find it a good race at all. Shattered Love was gambled on before the race. Won accordingly, so beat Terrafort. Invitation Only was probably the big danger. Came to a standstill at 4 out, having made a terrible mistake, was yet to have been asked any sort of a question. It's an interesting betting race this time round. We've obviously got Defi de Soy and Lost in Translation, who are right at the top of the market, and rightly so, because at this trip they do have the best form in the book. But I feel, as you'll probably know if you've watched the Day 2 preview, I'm very interested here by Top of the Game. He's 12 to 1 for the JLT Novices Chase. Second in both his starts over fences, one behind Defi de Soy at Exeter, and then Le Bagawa at Kempton. I was just a tad concerned that this horse didn't stay at Kempton, and if that race was a 2.5 mile race on Stephen's Day, he would have absolutely hacked up. He's just a bit of a baby of a horse. Like, he's a massive horse, so you think, he should be mature, but seems to be a long time maturing, this horse. But once he does, I think he could be a cracking horse. I just feel this year that the JLT could be his bag. I don't doubt that in the future, probably 3 miles is his game, but I just don't think this is a really strong renewal. You look past the top 2 in the betting, and nobody else of them is going to run. Like, this is where I'm struggling even to pick out any sort of a viable alternative, apart from this guy if they run him in it. However, it's a tad like Monolith last year. You do feel they'll run in the RSA, potentially get beat, and then look at the JLT the next day and go, geez, we got absolutely pissed in that race. It was crap. Because Defi de Soy and Lost in Translation set a good level of form. But apart from that, like near the top of the betting, Kalashnikov is there, going to run in the Arkle. Paloma Blue's there, going to run in the Arkle. Hardline's there, just not good enough. Like, Getterbird hasn't been entered at all. I was surprised he wasn't entered at all. Like, I know they've made the point that he needs to go right-handed and all that, which I get. I'd be more thinking though that there's something wrong with him. I'm surprised he didn't even get an entry. Just in case, but he hasn't been seen since Christmas. So he could have picked up some sort of a setback. But I just think it's a fairly weak renewal. It's just lacking in depth, and therefore Top of the Game could be like a horse that could take it by storm if he came back and ran in it. Defi de Soy I'm not sure by, because obviously it depends who's going to come up against him, because if Top of the Game's not there and all those other horses are there, Defi de Soy has easily got a favourite's chance, and he'll contract in price because of it. But I think in a really good JLT, Defi de Soy will get beat, and obviously if he's going to get beat, Lost in Translation gets beat. I would hold out judgment whether it is a top-class JLT, but I think Top of the Game at 12s is a good price, non-runner, no bet, and hopefully he runs and can... I think if he runs, he wins, to be honest. quite bullish. I think he's a class horse. Each way shouts. I've got two interesting ones here. One a mare for Willie Mullins, Camellia de Cotte. I thought a few starts ago Camellia de Cotte was going to be earmarked for the Close Brothers Novice Handicap. And she's still got an entry in that, but I think she's going to probably have to run in this because she'll be sky high in the weights for the other one because she's racked up a fantastic little streak over fences in mares races. Now, she has only been tackling mares. You know, if you threw her into the JLT, it's a completely different ball game. But she's 14-1. She's a consistent horse. She's very progressive. And over fences, she seems a completely different animal to what she was over hurdles. So I think she has a chance. One here that will get you batting your eyelids a little bit because I don't think anyone else is going to be putting this one up. The JLT 2-4 Mengley Khan at 20-1 each way. I made this assumption after the Dublin Racing Festival, which was my last kind of plough on him as potentially being a 2-miler, and was well beaten by Larichburg again, and us and them. But Larichburg's favourite for the Oracle, us and them will probably take a bit of stopping, potentially in the Grand Annual, or even he might even run in the Oracle and run all right. And just Mengley Khan that day, like the second day at Leopardstown, really smacked me as just being a horse that needs a trip. As I've said before so many times, he's a mighty horse. He should be a good jumper. He's been an okay jumper, nothing more than that. But I just felt he stayed on all right. I know it was all, small beer really, but he stayed on all right at the end of that race. I was right down by the rail and he was doing his best work the last furlong. As I say, it's a race that lacks depth, 20-1. He is a good horse, decent enough. Cheltenham form coming third in the Supreme last year. I'd say he deserves a squeak non-runner, no bet. Pretemps final I'll leave for now, as always, absolute minefield. The Ryanair chase, I've just got a view of the Ryanair chase. I've seen so many previews, Racing Post and even other people on YouTube. And, well, a lot of people think Min's going to win it. And I don't think Min's even going to run in it. If Min doesn't run in it, Footpad will probably run in it, and he does have a fair chance. I understand that. But everyone's just discounting Undersow. He's 7-1 non-runner, no bet. He's 100% going to run in the race, so you might as well take that because he'll go shorter on the day. And my question here is, and it's one that perhaps you guys can answer. I know he's getting a little bit long in the tooth, but what has he done wrong? Look at his form. His last two runs are two career bests. We've got Altior here, who is winning races by 15 lengths, by 20 lengths. Against genuine 2-milers, he beat Undersow 3 lengths in the Tingle Creek. Undersow was a mighty, mighty effort in defeat that day. Now, let's think, what was the last time before that Undersow won? Oh yes, against Duvan at Punchestown. Put Duvan in his place in second. Two of his best runs have been his two last ones. I can't understand why people are saying he's kind of gone at the game. He's an absolute iron horse. He's 100% going to run his race. The good ground over 2.5 will actually suit him. He needs the good ground over this trip. I just can't understand it. 7-1, I think, is bizarre. What do you guys think? Also, obviously, tipped him up at the start of the season, Monolith for the Ryanair. I have him at 20s. He's now 15-2, and it looks like he's going to run in the race. He's obviously running in the Red Mills tomorrow at Goran while I'm recording this. It's probably that race has been run by the time you're watching this. So, see how he goes there. Hopefully he'll go all right. He won't beat Percy, I don't think. But if he finishes second or third, that could be an ideal prep for the Ryanair. He's 15-2 now, not a bad each way squeak. And another flyer here, because I'm giving you flyers. Mengley Khan was one of them. If you think Mengley Khan was bizarre, think about Colulta Vic at 16-1 for the Ryanair chase. Not great on his seasonal reappearance, much more like it in the Galmoy Hurdle. He's going to run in the Red Mills as well on Saturday. He's never going to win a Gold Cup. His jumping's not good enough for potentially over 2.5. He has a squeak, I reckon. Onto the Stayers Hurdle, Paisley Park, obviously setting the setting the standard this year. He got all the English horses held on form. I would be concerned. He's beaten West Approach twice in his last 2 runs. West Approach is never going to win a Stayers hurdle, I'm sorry to say. I'd question the form, and there's all this, he's the best horse, he's the best horse. He actually hasn't run against any Irish horse. So how can we know he's the best horse? We've got Pen Hill with Willie Mullins just looking at Pen Hill in the stable, just throwing some Mullins voodoo magic at him. That's Mullins there just flicking it at Pen Hill. And Pen Hill, I reckon, will come here full of beans, 11-2. He's 11-2 somehow because we have Presenting Percy in the market. Like, give us a break. So Presenting Percy will only run in this race if he takes a catastrophic fall tomorrow, which obviously you don't want him to do. But anyway, 11-2, obvious reasons. Won the race last year off no prep run. Apparently his prep last year went worse than it has this year as well. He's won for me twice at the Cheltenham Festival, both at 16s. I've got him at 10s again this year. Like, it's one of those I'm kind of going, I just can't go against him. He's a lucky horse. Like, and last, as a bit of a squeak here, and just hear me out, because I know I'm Faugheen. I've been a bit delusional about Faugheen in the past. But I genuinely think he's got pretty good form for this race. He was with Apple's Jade at 2 out at Leopardstown when he took that fall. He was around a length or 2 off. Ruby hadn't played his cards yet. I'm not saying he would have beaten Apple's Jade. I've said that before. Probably Apple's Jade would have skipped away from him. I get that. But still, even if he'd finished within 5 lengths of Apple's Jade that day, which is very much possible, that's top form for this race. Because this race isn't as good, and Apple's Jade's been a monster this year, and especially at around Christmas time, Apple's Jade's always class. He does need to recreate his best. I think over 3 miles will suit him. He does like Cheltenham, 2-time festival winner, and if he doesn't show any ill effects of that fall, I genuinely think on form he's got a good each way chance at 9s. The Brown Plate I'll come back to. The Mare's Novice Hurdle, very, very difficult because obviously we've got Honeysuckle and Sonori in there for Henry de Bromhead. But Mullins in the Mare's Novice Hurdle, you have to take consideration. And I know I'm tipping up a lot of, well, not necessarily. The undersow for the Ryanair and the 2 for the Stayers are about Mullins. But, so I feel in these previews I haven't been too pro Mullins. But, he has winners. So, I'm rightly with him, to be fair. And I know you're probably saying, like, this horse could certainly not run in this race. In fact, she could run in like the Albert Bartlett or something. But I think Relegate at 8-1 still has a chance. She's not a great jumper, but she's a very good stayer. And just the Mare's Novice Hurdle, like he did it with Let's Dance, where the mare probably needs further, and she came from last to first. Relegate came from last to first when the Champion Bumper last year, showing that at least she does have speed. The only thing was like she was staying on at the end of 2-6 in the Dublin Racing Festival, so that would make you think that she really is a stayer. But if she runs in the race, whatever Mullins' first string in this race, whether it's her, whether it's My Sister Sarah, whether another thing comes out of the clouds, I don't know. But you have to take consideration. And I think at the moment, I still think Relegate will run in this race. And at 8, I think she's a good price. And again, another one, a bit like Monolith that I put over at the start of the season. Get away, Katie May. Have her at 25. She's now 16s. I think she wants a bit softer ground. We haven't seen her since winning a maiden hurdle at Tramore. She did that all right that day. Needs to brush up on her jumping though. But she was a cracking bumper horse. Came second at the Dublin Racing Festival before winning the Aintree Mares Bumper under an absolutely power-packed Jamie Codd ride. She responds generously for pressure and she should go well. In the Pertemps, I'm now going to just quickly run through the handicaps. I don't really have much of a say in the Pertemps. Like these are so hard until you really know who's going to run in them. So it's not exactly vastly in-depth analysis. But if over all the handicaps that I mentioned in these videos, if I have like one winner, it will be good because they're obviously at big prices. I think not many left at 16-1 for Jesse Harrington. Won a qualifier at Huntington. Nice improving sort of horse. Was a good enough novice hurdler last year at 2.5. Was stepped up to 3 at Huntington. Seemed to suit that. That was his first step up to 3. He could go close in the Rob Coore colours. And a Joseph O'Brien horse called Thermistocles at 25-1. Third at the Leopardstown Pertemps qualifier over Christmas to Cuneo. That race has thrown up winners of the Pertemps before, and horses that have been beaten in that race. I think Thermistocles could be one of them. He's 25-1. He's a young, improving stayer. Had won a maiden hurdle by 8 lengths before running in that race. Ran a very pleasing race, and I think could go very close. Probably a JJ Slevin or something on board. And you'd love to see JJ get a winner for his cousin, Joseph, I think. The Brown Plate has been a lucky race for me in the past. I find it very difficult this year, though. 2 English horses, though, that I like. I don't know whether he'll run it or not, but Hell's Kitchen is a very intriguing runner. If he does line up at 8-1, that's non-runner, no bet. You might as well. Like, all of these are non-runner, no bet. So if you don't think they're going to run, you know, you might as well have a little bit on. And then if it runs, happy days, you got a bit on. And if it doesn't, you get your cash back. He's a very good horse. All clicked together at Ascot. He's another one. He's like a Mengley Khan impersonator. He's a massive horse. It's taken a long time to mature, but seems to be getting the hang of things. And a horse that I'll bring to the grave, like the horses I'm bringing to the grave in the Kim Muir, is Benatar. 16-1. 4th in the JLT last year to Shattered Love. I do like horses that have got festival form in a better race. It's like me putting up Scarpetta for the Coral Cup. When they're 4th in the Ballymore, in the JLT or something, like, they're proper horses. Benatar's been a bit disappointing this year, to be honest. He's very keen. He's an odd one, like, because they've stepped him up to 3 miles there and he didn't seem to stay, didn't really run his race. I think back to 2.5 will suit. Hopefully the Festival Gallop will suit and he can run into a place at 16-1. That's a decent price. Kim Muir, 3 miles, 1 furlong. Handicap lot certainties, you know. Glenlow seems to be angled for this race. But I'm opposing Glenlow. Just. It pains me, but I am opposing him. And as I said just a minute ago, I am taking these 2 horses to the grave with me because I will keep backing them in these handicaps until one of them wins one of them. And you know who they are. Maldini, 9-1, came 2nd in the race last year. God knows how. Came there cantering for Patrick Mullins beside Mr. Approach. Just couldn't get by him. And you're going to shoot me, but Squeator at 14-1 does seem to run his race in the Kim Muir every year. I think he unseeded last year, but was 3rd the year before. He's such a horrible jumper, but I just don't want to be not on him the one year that the jumping comes together and he wins. And because if the jumping comes together, Squeator wins the Kim Muir probably very well. For Jamie Codd, and everyone's there going, he's threatened to do that for years. And I don't want to be the one time I don't back him for that to be the case. I haven't actually backed him. I didn't back him the last 2 years in the Kim Muir because he's been really short. 14-1, he's actually an each way proposition. So even if he clouts a couple of fences and comes 3rd, we get a bit back. I realise there's some weird ones in there. Let's list them out. We've Mengley Khan, Kalulta Vic, Faugheen, Benatar and Squeator. So we've got 5 or 6 of some of the worst jumpers and free horses and everything in there. But anyway, it's a Cheltenham preview. I'm here to hear your opinions and just say mine. They're not fact. I'm just putting them up. They're the horses I like. They're the horses I want to see winning. As always, I want to hear your guys' opinion. Do you think Paisley Park is going to win the Stairs Hurdle, or are you like me thinking that Mullins has that voodoo magic at home for Penn Hill? Do you think Min's going to run in the Ryanair? I don't think he is. If Footpad runs, does he win? Or are you like me? You think Underso is overpriced at 7s? Obviously want to hear your opinion. Put it down below. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe to the channel down below to get more Cheltenham content and more content going into the spring festivals going forward. And until next time, the Gold Cup preview, best of luck.